Hey guys, it's Brandy with Eternal Harvest, and today I'm going to show you how I made this wooden mosaic. So as you can see with my mosaics, I use a lot of different dimensional wood, and it's mostly pine, Doug fir, and things that I find at the hardware store. But you need to start with a very firm backing, so I just use strand board, particle board, or whatever's cheapest when I go. You want to make sure that your backing is at least ½ an inch thick. Then you cut your backer to the size you want the piece to be, but I like to give myself about an inch play. So if it's going to be 20 inches long, cut the backer to 21 inches long. If it's 15 inches wide, cut the backer to 16 inches wide. And then you want to mark your center on the board. I like to use my quick speed square to mark my middle lines, and then also to start the 45-degree angles from the center. This is where the boards will line up to create that X pattern. Once you have that marked, you can go ahead and begin cutting your pieces. So for this piece, I used 1x2s, 1x4s, 1x3s, and 1x1s. And I picked those all up at my local lumber yard or hardware store, you can find them anywhere. And each of these will be alternated throughout the pattern to kind of create dimension. Now step up to your miter saw and set it for 45 degrees. Once that's set, you can cut your first piece at 45. Once that's cut, take it over to your piece and set it in the very middle where that first mark was made. Use that as a guide to mark the underside of that board where you will make your next cut. At this point, you'll just keep cutting 45s, bringing them back over to your piece, and marking the underside for your next cut. I like to start with 1x4s in the middle, and then go with a smaller dimensional lumber after that. Then I alternate that throughout the piece. Once the pattern's been determined, you can start taking pieces out to paint. I like to take all the same size pieces out at once and paint them all the same color. So here are the 1x1s, and they're all being painted gold. Then I took my 1x2s and painted those navy, as you can see here, and I lay them out in the same pattern so I can remember where they go on the piece, just like this. As soon as one color dries, I place it back on the piece and take the next color out and finish that one. Once you have everything painted and put back in its place, then you can begin the glue process. I really love how the gold looked on these pieces. I like to add metallic paints whenever I can. Now the glue process can begin. I take a straight piece and clamp it right down the middle line, the center of the piece, as a guide. I like to start with my biggest pieces, the 1x4s there, and I'll squirt the glue on and then slide each piece into place so that it spreads the glue as I put it on. It gives it a better seal and helps the glue process. I don't typically use any nails or finishing nails, but if I have to, if a piece is being crazy, I will nail it from the underside of the piece so that you don't have anything showing in the front. Then I move to the other side, and remember I have my lines marked down here on the piece from the very beginning, so I can see exactly where I need these 45s to meet. Once the glue up is all finished, you're going to want to give that about 24 hours to cure. And then I use some painter's tape down along the sides so that you don't get very much tear out. Mark your lines on both sides, use a circular saw to get a straight edge. And that's it for the mosaic piece. Now you can begin your frame. This customer wanted a thicker frame, so I went with 2x2s. I used my Kreg jig on the back side to mark some holes. Laid down the piece and then realized that I needed to glue it up a little better. So I used some glue and Kreg jigged that frame into place. Once the pieces were painted, I did paint the frame before adhering everything. If you're just using 1x1s as the frame, you can go ahead and just nail those in with some finishing nails. And that's it. She's all done. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and if you'd like to keep getting DIY videos and tips, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks, you guys!